Welcome to a Telltale Books video. I'm Greg, and I'm continuing my Ray Bradbury series with his 12th published work, still in his fanzine years. This story is titled The Flight of the Good Ship Clarissa. It was published in January of 1940. It is just a short story, and it was published in the winter 1940 Futuria Fantasia, which all of the issues of his Futuria Fantasia are reproduced in the original mimeograph, reproductions of the original mimeograph pages and the original artwork from the actual fanzines that he did. So it's a really cool book with a beautiful Hannesbach cover. But the things in this, it's a fanzine. It's science fiction fans having fun. In this case, it's Ray Bradbury having fun and all of his friends submitting to it. And they're all just joking around, having a good time. There's nothing about this to take seriously, least of all Bradbury's stories. So they're all told satirically, tongue-in-cheek, lots of bad puns. Just, these are not works of great literature. and it's really hard reading, aside from showing a deep love for playing with the English language. It's hard to see how the writing he did for Futuria Fantasia would lead to his later fiction. In The Flight of the Good Ship Clarissa, you have Earthmen travel to Venus in a rocket, and amongst the Earthmen are science fiction writers and editors that everybody in fandom in 1940 knew the names. And they all fight with the Venusians. It's an extremely short story. I think it was only 1 page long, maybe 2 pages long. And it was just one joke after another. There's a plot, but it doesn't really flow together very well. It just kind of goes haywire and goofy. So far, I think this is the funniest of all these stories that I've been reading. But it is very dated, and it is lots of in-jokes. If you don't have any knowledge of science fiction fandom as it existed in 1940, you're probably going to be scratching your heads and doing a lot of Googling to try and figure it out. But for anybody that, and I'm not an expert, I know a little bit about fandom back then. I've never really been a part of fandom, but I've read some things. And so I get a lot of what's being talked about. So far this was the best one of these funny fandom stories that Bradbury wrote back then. I would definitely not a top tale. I would only recommend it to a Bradbury completist or Bradbury scholar. To those people, it's going to be of interest for how it fits into his development as a writer and his overall biography. To everybody else, it's going to seem really amateurish, although better than a lot of the other amateur works I've covered in the early careers of these writers. There's a lot of them that have been very amateurish. Bradbury, he seems to be amateurish in order to be funny. He doesn't seem to be doing it out of any lack of ability. So understand that if you take time to read it. But if you love Bradbury, this is a fascinating book. It's a side of Bradbury that I did not know about until I decided to do this deep dive, and I started getting some of these books about the early works of Bradbury and started reading this stuff, and it's opened up a whole new side of him and his work and his life. It's kind of interesting to read. So, have you ever read the Flight of the Good Ship Clarissa? If so, leave your comments in the comments section of the video. Otherwise, my next Ray Bradbury, as soon as the internet catches up to me, is going to be Gorgano and Slith, and I'm assuming that's another that's another one from Futuria Fantasia. It's another fan fiction piece. So come on back and join me for that, and I'll be getting to all the great Bradbury stuff eventually. I just gotta dig through all this stuff first. And all the other things we do on Telltale Books.